Dear Katrina has managed in her song to give my entire message today. And to do it quite well also. It's so good to see you today. Love is such a broad, powerful message, and there's so many aspects to it today, and we're going to approach it from one particular one, particularly chosen because we are into the Easter season now, a time that has great significance to most Unity Movement folks as well as people of other faiths. We're going to open the service with this scene. It's the Last Supper has just been completed. Jesus has washed the disciples' feet. They've dispersed, and he's in silence in a closeted place, preparing to commune with his Father God. These are the words he had to say. The glory that you had given me, I have given them, meaning his disciples and all of his followers, so that they may be as one, as you and I are one. I in them and you in me, that we all may be completely one, so that the world may know that you love me, I love you, we love each other. A powerful, powerful message. Richard has mentioned several times in his messages lately that we are all one. We teach it in our SCE classes. We are all one. That's a powerful concept to comprehend. Very difficult for me initially. And then I began studying some of the quantum physics that is now being projected onto the public and to those who are willing to listen, in that we are all simply bits of energy that have become compressed into your individual being. But then when we are dispersed and spread out to the ethers, we're all part of this magnificent web of bits of energy. Yes, we all are one. We are all connected. But what does that mean in your individual lives, in your individual daily walks? Well, first of all, there are many dividing forces in our society, are they not? I began to name just a few. And I'm not saying these are divided forces in a negative way initially. What I'm saying is that because they are opposites, they can lead to issues. Now, we all have issues. I frankly did not know I had any until I was 38. And a very close friend of mine said, Peggy, you have issues. Well, right away I said, look at me. I'm employed. I have a wonderful daughter. I'm married. I have a home. I go to church. Peggy, you have issues. I soon went into therapy after that, and sure enough, Peggy had issues. But how do we handle those issues? Listen to some of the incidents in life that can lead to these issues. You've got, first of all, male and female. You've got rich and poor. You've got gay and straight. You've got Hispanic and Anglo. You've got Christian and Muslim. You've got conservative and liberal. You've got educated and uneducated. You've got old and young, divine and human, tall and short, large and small. The list goes on and on and on. We are a nation, a populace of individual differences. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, is there, Heather? No. I like meat, she likes vegan. That's fine, is it not? There are people in our church who have a different pathway to God than what I have. And as long as they're on their way to spirit, it's fine. Differences only become a problem when they become divisions. And as we look at our society, our families, our jobs, we see division quite frequently. That is very different from differences. God made us all different. Differences are appreciated. Wouldn't it be dull and boring if we were all the same? Yes, it would. Differences are to be appreciated and demonstrated and loved as they present themselves. One thing that happens when division arises, for example, let's say male and female, there's a lot of controversy now about equal pay for an equal job that has arisen. That is a difference that is real, true, it's there. But it becomes an issue when there's anger, separation, maybe violence, etc., that arises out of that equal pay being unfair. What happens? We forget when we're involved in issues that there are human beings behind them, just like you are. They want a good life, they want to be happy, they want their children to be successful, they want to find a mate, they want a good job. Behind every issue that faces you as a family or as a workplace or as a nation, each one has a human person involved in it. And so often those things that divide us, that become divisions, have to have somebody who wins or loses. Someone who's accepted or not accepted. Someone who can have their happiness, or maybe they're kept from having their happiness. A sad state of affairs. That for issues not to be divisions, there must be winners on both sides. Real often, when there's an issue, when one side is strongly favoring their point of view and they exert more power from whatever their position may be, there has to be a loser. There has to be someone who is hurt. There has to be someone who loses favor. Issues can be handled, they can be approached without that being the outcome. And that's what Jesus was talking about when he said, we are all one. Think about that for just a moment. Now, society has come up with some ways to handle issues. They enact laws, they write covenants, they write contracts, they write agreements. How has that worked? Did you see the news this morning? Do you keep up with Facebook or Twitter? Have you listened to the conversations around the lunch table? All of our efforts are not being very successful because there seems to be a winner and a loser, an ostracized and accepted. Someone always comes up short. That even happens in families. When you have several children, usually the older child is in a leadership position, and the middle child feels left out, and the younger child is spoiled to death. Yes, I recognize that.
I resemble that remark.
Right. So even within our family structures, we have to be so careful how we handle issues that arise so that they don't become divisions, that they stay simply unique differences and are handled with care and love. Jesus did not ask in his prayer for us to have tolerance for the person who's on the other side of the issue. He did not have them to write laws or suggest laws and covenants to have our differences eliminated. He simply prayed for oneness. Think about that a moment. Because he knew that oneness would reflect him, God, Spirit, through you here on earth. someone mentioned to me after the first service this morning, is that love always results in truth coming forth. Now think about our political scene right now. If much more love was expressed, we would come to a solution where there were no losers. Think about, and I shouldn't do this, our past election. The way our national leaders talked about each other. Where is the oneness? Whereas kindness, understanding, and restraint would certainly have gone much further in bringing about resolution, at least to some extent, among the opposing forces. We are grown-ups. And Jesus said that if our demonstration is love in every action we take, we will accomplish the erasing of division, because division doesn't bring about success. Once again, oneness is not about eliminating differences. I love that. Look at the differences in our church. We have organized people, and we have a few disorganized who bring us fun and joy. We have speakers, and we have those who'd rather sit and listen. Wonderful. We need that, or those who want to speak wouldn't have anyone to listen. Individual differences are appreciated and loved among us. It's only when one becomes more and one becomes less. Let's say, for example, some of you wouldn't get up here and speak if I paid you, probably. But I wouldn't get up here and sing if you paid me. So our differences are to be loved, to be accepted, to be honored, and to be appreciated. There is no greater talent. To me, the person who cleans up our kitchen and organizes it is way up on my list of appreciation. Everybody's gift is to be appreciated, exonerated, and loved. Jesus said it's going to take love. It's going to take love to overcome division. After all, think about the God that we know through Jesus' eyes. He loves girls and boys. He loves gays and straights. He loves Democrats and Republicans, and even independents. He loves the young. He loves the old. He loves the Christian and the Muslim. He loves the educated and the uneducated. He loves the divine side of you as well as good old human side of you. He loves you if you're tall or you're short or you're quiet or you're noisy. Why? Because we all are one of the great body of humanity. We have all been given our individual strengths. So what is your charge in all of that? Is to recognize the person sitting next to you as a beautiful child of God, as someone who is divine in nature, as someone who may look differently from you, may act differently from you. And that is great. It's only when you make it a point. Have you ever sit downstairs having a meal, and you've got on your plate potatoes and bread, and macaroni salad, and another person sits down to you with all nice healthy salads on their plate? That's okay. But if they make a comment, I have guilt feelings out of the wazoo. If that person loved me, they would let me eat exactly what I wanted to eat. Yes, they would. That's taken it almost to a ridiculous measure, but that's what it's all about. We are to be the love that we are. It's often expressed in Discover Unity as well as from this platform that God is all love. He made creation in love. If we demonstrated that kind of love in all that we do each day, think about what this world would be like. We would be on overload with happiness and joy. And it's only going to happen if each of us as individuals are able to accept differences as okay, even if you don't believe in them or agree with them, and don't take it to the point of division. That's when violence occurs. That's when anger overcomes. That's when families break up. That's when governments dissolve. And why don't we understand this as truth? You know love attracts far quicker and greater than anger or disdain. The answer is so easy. So what's wrong with us? Well, there's that human side of us, is there not? But that human side of us, particularly if you've had a lot of unity teaching as well as other traditional teachings, we know can be overcome, can be diverted, can be changed. If we each make as our affirmation for this coming week, for this coming month, for this coming year, that we will recognize differences, but we will not become divided. We won't make them divisions between ourselves and another person. If I ask you to stand up if you're a Democrat on one side of the church and ask you if you're a Republican on the other side of the church, we would all love each other, would we not? Because we are, that was the ultimate question to ask, was it not? We are children of God. We are all one. Would you take one hand and cut off the finger of the other hand? No, you are one. We are one. And until we recognize that as a nation, as a world, we will continue to have the issues that we have, the divisions that we have, rather than coming to the table in love, open-minded, and coming up with a compromise. Now, as I worked on this message this week, I'll just be honest with you, I became so discouraged. My religious mentors and teachers keep reminding me that we are on the brink of a new age. Well, we are mighty slow getting to the other side of that new age. And I do get discouraged, but I know in looking at history there have been periods of time when we've undergone change, and it's been a positive change. And as long as we have Christ consciousness, spirit within us, we can make those decisions to move forward in a positive way. So I'm going to challenge you this week, and I may even ask you next week if you fulfilled your challenge, to make an affirmation that whenever you start to have a strong feeling about something, ask yourself, am I approaching this simply because it's a difference in how I feel and the other person feels? Or do I want to draw a line in the sand and dare you to step over it? Because basically that's what it boils down to. Stepping over that line is not going to solve anything. Someone's going to get hurt, and then someone's going to come and back them up, and it's going to continue in a very violent and difficult way. Only you and I are going to change things. That's in families too. If you don't mind me relating Heather. Heather was talking earlier service about her brother and sister who have been at odds for many, many, many years. You know they're not happy feeling that way. And what do they accomplish? The rest of the family feeling very much ill at ease around them and concerned about them. Love is the answer. Love is truly the only answer that will solve it all. It's probably the toughest one to fulfill. But we are strong, determined people, are we not? And we can make it happen. And on a small scale, of course, in the beginning, within your family. Maybe there's someone at work that you have a disagreement with, and whenever they show their face around the corner, you just bristle. Stop bristling. It's getting you nowhere but a bristle. Think about it. They are renting space in your head, in your life, in your consciousness, and it's not hurting them. You're just spiting yourself. And I'm great at doing that, so I can speak on this. But once again, it's a waste of our time, our energy, and our effort. Whereas love will always lead to the truth. Just like in that situation, brother and sister. Loving each other beyond the differences, ignoring the divisions, will bring them back together in love. And that's a far more pleasant experience and feeling. Think about if you could go through your day from the time you awaken, having nothing but loving, warm feelings towards everything and everybody you come in contact with. Recently, I started using a CPAP. What an experience. But I sleep much, much better with it because I've got sleep apnea. But I've got kitty cats who don't understand it, and they get on my face and smack it. And where the air comes through, it expels cool air. They love to get their noses over the air. Talk about loving something from the moment you get up. That's a true test, but that's when it starts. You have a child who gets up, is worrying you to death, wants you to get out of bed. That's where it starts, from the moment you awaken and start to move forward in your day. When the car next to you drives by, smile and wave, I dare you. When you get to work, a pleasant word to the secretary at the desk, no matter if she is an old pill, and there are some. Not you, Daphne, not you, Daphne. No. Greet them with a smile. You'll shock them to death if nothing else. When your spouse or partner comes home from work, not attacking them immediately with all the trials and tribulations of your day, but telling them you appreciate their presence, that they are the light of what has happened to you that day. And of course, meditating in prayer puts the icing on the cake. We are love. Jesus said so right here on the night of his Last Supper. He tells us as our way shore that we are one, we are in him, he is in us, we are all in the Father, God, and God is in us. What better guideline for our behavior? Now, I will probably ask you next Sunday how you did on your affirmation. So please put out extra effort to project love in all that you do. I thought about myself to go cut my conversation in half next week, but that's okay, because if 50% of my conversation is all positive and reinforcing, I've come a long way. I charge you to come along with me. Thank you.